Rounded progress bars are easy to read, and they help users quickly understand progress, whether it's tracking progress towards a goal or showing how much of a metric a category contributes, like the portion of sales a country makes up in this example. To create these rounded progress bars that show sales by location, I'll start by adding country to the rows. And since I want these to be rounded bars, I'll add measure values to the columns, and I'll do this twice. And since these are going to represent the portion of sales for each location, I first need to create a calculative field for the location percent. This will just be holding fixed the country, take the sum of sales. Then divide that by holding fixed the sum of sales. So this is taking the total sales for each country and dividing it by the total sales for all countries. Within the measure values, I'll type 0 and I'll type 1. And I want to change the sum of 1 to be the average of 1. Then I'll remove all the measure values that are not the 0, the 1, and the location percent. And this first mark is going to be for the actual progress bars. So for the first mark type, I want to keep this a bar. And the second mark is going to be what gives us that rounded effect. So I want to change the second mark type to a circle. And since I want the color of the bar and the circle to be synchronized, I'm going to go to the All Marks, drag measure names in, and make this a color. And I want each country to have a different color, so I'm going to drag country into the marks and change this to a color. Then I'll reorder our measure values so that 0 is first, then the location percent, then the average of 1. And you can see this here on the right. We have 0 marking the start of our progress bars, the actual portion that it makes up in the middle, and 1 marking the end of our progress bars. And the most critical step to make this work is to go to the Analysis tab, go to Stack Marks, and turn these off. And this basically makes it so that the bars are not adding on top of each other, but instead they're showing the individual values. So you can see the orange portion of the bars is matching the position of the orange dots on the right-hand side. Next, I'll go through and edit the colors. And I'll select all the ones that start with 0, and I'll just assign a palette. I'll do the same thing for the location percent. Then for the average of 1, I want to make these a light gray. So the 0 and location percent will show the portion for each country, and that's why they need to be the same color. The average of 1 will show the portion that it doesn't make up, so that's why I chose a light gray for this. To get these on top of each other, I'm going to right-click on the measure values and make this a dual axis. So you can see how it starts to get that rounded bar chart effect. To refine it to get those smooth edges, I'll use the size slider in the circle and bar mark and play around with it until I get those perfect edges. And you might have noticed over here on the right, we're missing our circle end. To make that end visible, I'm going to right-click on the axis and synchronize them. And just for demonstration purposes, on the second mark, I'm going to add measure names in and make this a label. That way you can see the back end of how this is working. So 0 is representing the left side of our bars, the location percent is representing the portion that each country makes up, and 1 is representing the right side of our bars. And we don't need the axis anymore, so I'm going to remove that. In this example, I used rounded progress bars to show each country's contribution to overall sales, but you can also use these for showing progress towards a goal.